what's poppin', what's tea? It's your girl Spicy Niche, and you already know why I'm here for the Men's Club episode 5 and 6. Now, as you can see, my environment has changed because even though I'm on vacation, I had to come back on Sunday to do this review for you guys, so let's get straight to it. So we open this episode with Lewis being the counselor to the guys. He's going one by one, calling on all of them, and they're pretty much just updating the group on everything that's going on in their lives. So we start off with Aminu, and he talks about the situation that happened with Tumini, and then we go on to Tayo, and he talks about everything that's going on with Tiara, and how him and Hadiza saw her at the store. And then we move on to Lanre, who then decides that he doesn't need to be there. He needs to be with Tenny right now, and so he leaves. Then we move on to Lewis having a talk with Lola. And Lola is basically saying, you know, I know Tonya probably didn't sign the divorce papers because she is just a joy stealer, and how it's long overdue that the both of them have a conversation, and I completely agree. Then we move on to Funmi coming over to Tayo's house. And Tayo is basically telling her, you know, hey, like, the girl that I'm in love with has come back and I would like to pursue things with her, and I would like us to kind of cut things off. So basically, Funmi and Tayo were bed buddies, but like, I'm still not understanding how we got here. I just don't understand the introduction of this character, or like what was the character development for us to get to this point. But anyways, she's basically like, oh, thank God I didn't break up with my boyfriend to be with you. And Tayo's basically like, oh my God, this whole time you had a boyfriend? And she's like, yeah. And you know, they just basically break things off and move on. Then we see Tenny move back in with Lanre, and of course his mom is not having it. But let's skip to the good part. So Lola and Tonya finally have a conversation in which Tonya tells her, you know, I want you to be miserable and alone just like me. And I gave Lewis an ultimatum, basically saying it's gonna be his child or you. And we all know Lewis loves his child, so obviously he's gonna pick their child together. And Lola says, can you just imagine that, you know, God has blessed you with a child, and rather than love on your child and take care of your child, you would rather use your child to do divide and conquer. And that really struck a nerve in Tonya, in which she didn't really have a rebuttal for that. We move on to see Tayo still stalking Tiara. They finally have a conversation in which he tells Tiara that he loves her. And Tiara basically says, you know, this would have been great to hear couple months ago, but right now I'm in love with somebody else. We then move on to Lanre and Tenny. They're in the hospital, in which we find out that Tenny has cancer. But why are these men's club people so dramatic? Like, why does she have to have cancer? Why are they so dramatic? Like, as in, what are you guys doing with the storyline now? Because there's one of two ways this can go. It's either she's gonna have cancer and she's gonna die, and they're like writing off her character, or she's gonna have cancer and she's gonna survive. But my question is, what is that trying to show? I think it would have been a better turn of events if they just found out that she had menopause, and this is something that Lanre has to deal with, dealing with an older woman and her going through that entire process. But cancer, I just feel like it's just way too dramatic and unnecessary for the series, you know? But anyways, we see Jasmine's mom has found her in whatever hotel room that she was staying in. If you guys remember the last episode, she was basically packing her things, fleeing from her mom. And I guess now her mom has found her. We then move on to see Tayo basically updating Hadiza on how everything went with Tiara, and also telling her about how his brother has been continuously reaching out to him. And Hadiza's like, oh, is this the person that's been calling you all the time? And he's like, yeah. And you know what's funny is that me and a couple other people have had this conversation about Men's Club, and they've all said the same thing of like, why is Hadiza still here? Why is she necessary to the series? Like, I don't really feel like she's adding anything. Like, is it that her and Tayo are lovers turned best friends? But then if that's the case, like, how is Tiara gonna fit into that? Because I don't know about anybody else, but it's very awkward to be dating someone who's still friends with their ex that they used to sleep with. Like, hello. So like, what is going on with this storyline? We then see Hadiza pick up Tayo's phone, and I guess we can assume that she's getting the brother's number to reach out to him. We move back on to Tenny and Lanre coming back to the house, and you know, Tenny's obviously sad that she just found out she had cancer, and Lanre's mom comes in and is like clapping and is happy, like, I told you that baby wouldn't survive. You know, my prayers are too strong. And Lanre is like, actually she has cancer. In which Lanre's mom was taken aback, of course. And he was like, I'm so disappointed. Like, why, like, as a mom, like, why are you joyous that like potentially if I had lost my baby, you would have been okay with that? You know, so honestly, I'm actually getting a kind of like tired of this Lanre, Tenny, his mom's storyline. I don't know about you guys, but I'm like, let's like wrap this up. Like, I'm not really interested in seeing these dramatics anymore. It was cute, like 1, 2 episodes, but now I just feel like it's dragging. So we move on to this school reunion that Lewis and Lola have continuously been talking about, but Lola ends up going with Tumini, in which upon getting to the reunion, we meet Tumini's ex. But my thing with the reunion scene was that it was just way too quiet. Like, you could hear a pin drop. Like, if this is a reunion, like, we should be hearing people talk, people catching up, like in the background, maybe see people hugging and be like, oh my God, like it's been years. But it was just too like quiet and so like super staged. Like, and in my experience, when you're doing reunion shots, will you not do it at the school that you guys used to go to? And even let's say they didn't want to like do a school scene, like maybe like a venue, like a hall, maybe like a little party type style something. But for it to just be like a formal sit down dinner, it's like we see people talking, but it just looked very like staged. Like, I just did not like how it didn't look authentic. And even the background actors, we couldn't hear them talking. Like, they didn't make it believable to me. But like I said, we meet Tumini's ex, and I'm like, okay, so now that we're introducing him in, what is the storyline that we're going to explore now here? He basically tells Tumini that he's divorced and, you know, he should have never listened to his parents about marriage. And she's just kind of like, okay, and that's good for you. Then we see Lanre and Lewis at the lounge, just basically like talking about how Tumini and Lola are together at the reunion. And so they go after their girls. Upon getting to the reunion, there's a little bit of riffraff going on, and they kind of pull their girls from all the drama. And I feel like at least Men's Club is now trying. You know, we see Aminu in the Bentley, we see Lewis in the G-Wagon. At least, you know, the characters' lifestyles are semi-trying to match up. Except for Tumini. I just don't still understand how she's the worst dressed in the series, how she never changes her wig. I've changed wigs more in my reviews than Tumini has changed wigs the entire season, okay? So let's just like, I don't understand, like, what's going on here? And I'm hoping now that they've sold it to Prime and they've moved from Red TV, that in the future season, if they do one, that we will finally see a better wardrobe. Because obviously, you guys know they initially shot this and we're probably gonna put it on Red TV and then eventually sold it to Prime. So the budget probably was already done and everything was already shot. But moving on to the next seasons, let's just hope that they do better with the hair and wardrobe. And now we are going to move on to episode 6. We open episode 6 seeing Tenny crying and Lanre in bed, and Lanre is telling her not to cry. The girl has cancer. What do you mean she shouldn't cry? If you had cancer now, will you not cry? But I love Auntie Shafi, but Auntie Shafi's crying is so funny to me. I don't know why, like, just looking at her face and the dramatics, I'm just like, oh God. Love you, Auntie Shafi, but the crying, I don't know. It's just too funny to me. We then move on to one of my favorite scenes this entire season. We see Aminu's mom come to talk to Tumini and basically encourage her, telling her that, you know, like, I came from a wealthy family and people still try to call me a gold digger when I married into the Garba family. She was like, I was dripped down in diamonds that my own father bought for me and they still tried to call me a gold digger, but you can't really care what people think. And she says something that we're all pretty much thinking. She's like, it's either you understand that your wealth is never going to measure up to theirs and accept it, or if you can't accept the fact that you're into this wealthy family, you leave. And she also says, when Tumini asks her, oh, how do you know I'm not a gold digger? She was like, I know I raised my son well, and it would be an insult to me to say that he can't make the right decisions when picking, you know, a woman to date. And I really love this scene. But at the end of the day, we are all thinking it. This storyline of Tumini being this like gra, oh, I want to work, I want to do this, is getting annoying. It's getting annoying to me. It's either you're going to accept that you're dating a wealthy man and move on, or you're not going to accept it and you're going to break things off. Like, and we need some conflict resolution here because we can't keep dragging this on for the next season. We then move on to see Promise and her mom like in the hotel room, and they're still trying to come up with a scheme of what their next plan is. But I really like them as a mother-daughter duo. Like, I feel like there's so much chemistry there, and I'm really enjoying that interaction. We then see Lanre come over to Lewis and Lola's house with Tenny to basically let them know that, you know, she does have cancer. And that's pretty much that. Then we see Hadiza pull Tayo's brother for a chat and basically tell him, hey, like, I'm gonna try to help you and Tayo get together so that, we can help you, get married. We then see Tayo go to Tiara's shop to beg her. Moving on along, we then see Lanre's mom begging Tenny, like, please leave my son alone. Like, I want to back my grandchild. I want to see him have a wedding, like, begging her on hand and knee. And like I said, this is getting old for me. Like, let's move on. Then we see Tayo and Hadiza in a car. And I think Hadiza tried to tell Tayo that they're going to have dinner with his brother. But before she could even spit it out, Tayo just automatically assumes that, it's with this boyfriend of hers that we've heard so much about. And basically agrees to the dinner. We move on to see Tenny go to surgery, and then we move on to see Tumini telling Aminu of what her next business plan is. She says she wants to get into event planning. She's already contacted a few different people, and that's kind of the line of business that she would like to move into now since she's quitting her job. Fast forward to Tunde, Hadiza, and Tayo meeting up. She kind of blindsides Tayo with his brother Tunde. And she's like, oh, Tayo, just please, do this for me. And again, I'm like, okay, so what is the relationship here? What are we doing? Like, best friends from ex-lovers, or like, what are we doing with this? But Tayo basically says that he would think about meeting Tunde's fiance. We move on to see Tenny in the hospital, and she basically tells Lanre that moving forward, she would just like to move in with Lola. Like, during this time, she doesn't want to be around the drama of his mom. And I'm happy about that because I'm tired of the theatricals. And then we see Tayo go after Tiara yet again. Moving on, we see Louis and Lola in the car together, and basically Lola tells Louis that she would like to pause the IVF just because, with everything going on with her mom, all the stress that it's going to cause her is really not conducive for trying to get pregnant. And then they go to Tonier's house, in which Louis tells Tonier, like, since you have the nanny taking care of the baby anyways, I might as well hire her myself, and he is going to fight for full custody of their child together, Ola. And I'm so happy for this because, again, like, I don't know how long they were going to drag, Tonier dangling the baby over his head. Like, let's move on to have some conflict resolution to each of these storylines. We move on to see Patrick come to see Jasmine and her mom in the hotel room, I guess, that they're staying in. And, Jasmine is basically like, oh, I can just take Nas and, we'll just be fine. And Patrick is like, oh, please. He's not even giving them face, honestly, as he should. He's just like, please, like, we know why you're here. You want something. Just pack your bags. Let's go so you can take care of the child that we have together that you have abandoned for all this while. So Aminu tries to help Tumini with the event planning business, trying to, come up with a business plan, give her the capital. And Tumini flares up and is like, oh my gosh, like, this is something that I just wanted to do by myself. She feels like she wants to pay Aminu back because he's done so much for her. But again, I'm like, okay, it's either you're going to be comfortable dating this billionaire or you're not. Like, this back and forth of this whole, oh, I want to do things by myself, businesswoman, like, take the help or don't. Like, his mom said, either you're going to accept that you're with a billionaire or you don't. But, like, we need to pick up this storyline. Like, we need to see them progress forward. Can we all just agree that Perry's acting these last 2 episodes was so bad? Like, it was just so cringeworthy. I was just like, oh my God. Like, honestly, I think my friend is right. They should have just written out Aminu's character. Like, at this point, it's just like, you're not even satisfying the viewers to their full potential. Like, I really wish that they would have used an actor that was a little bit older. Because I don't know, although Tumini and Perry are probably the same age or close to the same age in real life, I don't know why he just gives me, like, younger vibes, like, in the series, to where I feel like that's where the chemistry is lacking. They should have used an older actor and a more seasoned actor to play this role and kind of give us that Iola vibe and embody the whole Aminu character. Last but not least, we close out with Tayo finally agreeing to meet Tunde's fiance, who we now see is this Funmi girl. Okay, all right. Anyways, so I'm just kind of like indifferent about these last 2 episodes. I just feel like I'm wondering, how are we scaling the two storylines? For example, let's start with Lanre and Tenny, right? So she has cancer now. Okay, cool. She had the surgery. Okay, cool. What next? Where are we going from here? How are we growing from here? And you know, one of the things that I really was discussing with my friend about this series is that they don't introduce enough new characters so that way they can have enough new storylines. Grey's Anatomy was only able to string along for like 20 plus seasons, I think it was, because there was constantly an introduction of new characters and new storylines. Like, they need to introduce like a new guy, like, I don't know, maybe somebody's cousin that just moved to, you know, Nigeria or whatever, so we can pick up another storyline, because I'm kind of over all the storylines that we already have. We have freaking Perry and Tumini and that whole Jasmine Patrick storyline. Okay, what next? We have Lanre, Tenny, that whole storyline. Like, okay, what next? Like, is Lanre going to marry Tenny? Like, how can we scale this storyline? We then have Tayo and Tierra, which I genuinely like. And I feel like there's still something there that can be explored. And then we now have Louis and Lola, which again, those two storylines, I feel like Tayo and Louis are two storylines that can be developed further. But as far for the Aminu and Lanre storyline, it's just kind of like, okay, what next? Like, what next? But anyways, those are just my thoughts on the Men's Club. Let me know what you guys think down below. But at this point in the season, I'm getting kind of bored. Like, I'm really just not satisfied with the way that they developed the stories this season up until this point, and I'm just gonna wait until episodes 7 and 8 to kind of see where the storyline takes us, especially with Tayo and Funmi and Tunde. But like, guys, like, is life really like that? Is life really like that? Is it so coincidental that your brother's fiance is Funmi, the girl that you used to sleep with? Like, I just don't know. Like, life cannot just be that small. You know what I mean? And I don't know. We'll just see how they explore it in the next few episodes. But you guys let me know what you guys thought about the Men's Club episode 5 and 6 down below. And I will see you guys next week for episodes 7 and 8.